Well, good morning, everybody. Long time no see. I guess the last video we put out was just of the beehives. Let everybody see kind of all the activity there. I think we're in the dark.
Are we?
Yeah, but
it's a perfect video for relaxing at the end of the day.
So that was kind of the point. Just an hour of relaxation with everything that's going on, and everybody's kind of stressed out. So for those that watched it, appreciate it, and be sure to go back and watch it every time you need it.
Yeah.
So we're out here in the heat today working. It's morning, but it's already getting pretty warm.
Yeah, we got a little spoiled, I think, with our very mild spring that we had.
Yeah, sun's pretty intense. I mean, the air temp's not too bad yet. It's in the 80s, but it's supposed to get up mid 90s with the heat index around 100. At least there's a pretty good breeze, so that's going to help. But we've got a lot of work to do out here. Well, some more than others. The littlest one, she's way behind on weeding her leeks, so she's got some stuff she wants to do, but she has to get that done first.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure she'll get that done today. We've got to do a little bit of cultivation in some areas and get a few weeds under control. Not much, but we're kind of letting some things germinate and pop up, so that way we knew where we could work without killing other things. Yeah. So. But I got some stuff popping up in and around the okra. I think the onions are in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I got this cleaned up yesterday. They're actually in great shape. You can show those off right now.
Yeah. And then we've planted some squash and stuff, so we're waiting for it to pop up good. Then we can get the cultivator in there and clean up around those.
Yeah.
But we'll just kind of walk around, show how everything's growing, and show some projects. Got some things I'd like to get done today. I'm not sure if we will, but try to make things easier. But other than that, it's spring and everything's growing, so there's always plenty to do.
Lots to do.
Lots to do. Well, let's check in on everything in the tunnel. So you can see the cucumbers are growing like crazy. We've actually already lowered them once. I let about another foot off of the string on the tomahawks, lowered the plants down and moved the hooks over to the where the one beside it was. So I shifted this whole row that way about a foot. So try to show you down here at the bottom. You can see how the plants come out, lean over, and then go up to there. And I just did this a couple days ago, and it dropped all of the plants down to about eye level, and now they're already back to the top of the strings. So not sure how many times I can do that before I start. Well, in fact, I know I can't go that way anymore. I have to start wrapping around over to the tomatoes or something. But I don't know. They're growing like crazy. They're starting to produce pretty well. See if you can see over here. So there's one right here. This is the straight 8. This whole first half of the row is the straight 8 slicers. And we came in and did some heavy pruning and took off all of the runners, really cleaned these up. It made the blossoms a little more accessible. It also helped with the air getting through here. You know, we've got the new beehives, so I wanted them to be able to get in here and get to all the blossoms real well. We did have to do a little hand pollination early on, but it looks like things are improving. We've seen bees in here a lot more. We've still got some that didn't get pollinated. So you can see right here, here's one that obviously did and one that didn't. So we're not at 100%, but I think as more and more the bees find it, that'll get better. Of course, everything to this point that didn't will be lost, but quite a bit. So we're gonna have plenty of cucumbers. Remember, we're not growing this for market, so it's just for us. So next year we'll consider maybe a different variety, a little better for greenhouse growing. And Amish paste tomatoes, see they're growing good. They are covered in tomatoes all the way from small to extremely large. Some of the largest Amish paste I actually ever seen. So let's find some examples for you. So they're doing pretty well. Do have some issues. Had some yellowing of the leaves, and it's real random through the plants. It's not just at the bottom like it's an overwatering issue. I don't know if it's a nutrient deficiency or if something's trying to set on in here as far as like a mosaic or something. Show you a small area here. So we had some powdery mildew showing up on the cucumbers. I did a milk spray and went ahead and sprayed across the tomatoes too, just to make sure we don't have any issues there. But I'm not sure what it is. We'll probably do a side dressing of fertilizer, kind of a broad spectrum fertilizer, some of our amendments, and see if that helps a little bit. We've been irrigating, but we have not added any fertilizer since we planted. So maybe some fish emulsion or something be good to just apply right at the hole. Remember, we got the fabric here, so we've either got to inject it through the drip, which we're not set up to do, or we'll just apply right through the planting hole. Here's an example of taking advantage of some bad luck. We actually lost one of our tomato plants right here. It just took a turn for the worst. Started yellowing bad, leaves started going. It had one tomato on it. It wasn't healthy at all. So we went ahead and pulled it out just because we weren't sure what caused it and didn't want that spreading. So we had a string here with nothing on it. See, right there. So we just cut that plant off at the base. Now this plant right next to it sent off a branch that was acting like a leader, and before we pulled the other plant, we were thinking, man, we're gonna have to cut this off, but it's got so much production on it, hate to do that. It wasn't missed as a sucker or anything. It's just, for whatever reason, one branch just took off like crazy. So taking advantage of the bad situation where that plant we had to pull, we took the string from the plant we pulled and I wound it around and clipped it on this secondary leader from this plant. So now we've got it trellising up right there, and we're going to get to save all of this production and basically replace that plant with a well-established another plant. So otherwise we'd have had to cut all this off because it would never have survived being unsupported with the amount of production it's going to have. And the bell peppers are making like crazy. We've got quite a few very large peppers already, and just about every plant has at least one on it, if not multiple, varying sizes. So we're going to try to let those get just as big as they'll get, and as soon as we start seeing any kind of color change starting at all, we'll go ahead and harvest them. We like them green, and then we'll dice them up and freeze them, what we don't eat fresh. And again, we're trying to do a year's worth, so that's how we process them. We actually have a video from last year on how we do that, so put a link to that and you can go check that out. But we've got 192 bell pepper plants out here, and that's to try to get us that 1 year, because we eat a lot of them. So if you notice that this bed looks different, raise your hand. All the lettuce is gone. I don't remember how many we pulled out. It started bolting, it got pretty bitter. We harvested what we could and then had to compost the rest. So kind of thought that might happen, having that many on at once, but it's okay. Growing that was as much of a learning experience as having, a lot of food, because we'll know now that we can grow it, but we might have to plan a little more of a succession planting on it as much as we can. The window for that is pretty small.
And that homegrown iceberg lettuce is not bad.
No, but it did really well. If we decide to find an outlet for that, we know we can, whether it's just giving it away, selling it,
Right.
whatever that is, we know we can grow it. Now this spring was a little cooler early on,
Yeah.
so I don't know if that affected the success of it and made it better than it might be
And
if we were hot.
Longer too.
Yeah. So, but as soon as it started warming up, it went to bolting, and it got very bitter very fast.
Yeah.
So, pulled all that out. We flipped this bed. It now has hawker eye turnips, and then down on the other end, where we left a little bit of fabric, is actually sweet corn. So that'll help control weeds around it. We only had a limited amount of seed for that. It actually worked out really well. Planted what we had available there and had 2 seeds left over, so that a couple of those don't germinate, we can replant real quick. But that worked out. Sweet corn was supposed to be somewhere else, and we never got it planted, so we didn't follow the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But we didn't have anything allocated for this bed yet.
I think, actually, didn't you get a little confused and put the wrong corn in the wrong spot?
So nothing was supposed to be going in here right now. So I hadn't got the cedar out. Put the hawker eye turnips 5 rows wide, and it's about, well, where's the midway point? About 25 feet, 5 rows wide.
Yeah.
So watered those in good, watered in the corn, amended the entire bed, amended pretty heavily on the corn with some nitrogen. What?
I'm just laughing at how you changed this.
Yes,
really
sweet
quick.
corn was supposed to be over there where we put the flint corn. Or, yeah,
Yeah.
flint corn. Flint corn was supposed to be back there, and we didn't plant that back there at all. So
It's okay. This will work out better.
That-
It's in
yeah.
the sun and
we had way more flint corn seed than we did this golden Bantam sweet corn.
It's a happy accident, right?
Yeah, because it would never been enough for over here, because those packs had way more seed, and we had 2 packs of that. We had 2 packs of this, but they only had about 25 apiece.
Right.
So, and it proves for all the doubters out there who say, hey, that's a market garden, that's for selling, that's not for your own personal use, and it's not doing things the way you normally do it. How many market garden 30-inch beds have you seen with sweet corn in it? So there you go. Hey, what are you doing?
I'm cultivating my leeks.
I can't hear you.
Speak up.
I'm weeding
Reading what?
my leeks.
Are you a little behind on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that part's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Let me look down here.
That's not necessary.
No, not necessary. Why not?
Just look at this pretty part down here, right?
Yeah. I haven't
So-
done that side yet, though.
Are weeds a bad thing?
Well, for leeks, yes.
Okay, but in general, what are they?
They're just plants that God created.
Yeah, well, and they serve as ground cover where
Yeah.
it's okay, right?
Yeah, but leeks can get choked out if you leave the weeds.
Yeah. So we don't want the weeds in amongst your leeks, right?
No.
So when are you gonna start harvesting?
Probably soon. But on the ones down there, there's only one of the ones down here, and it's kind of weird and funny. Only this one would be harvested soon, but the rest of these are still really little. I don't know, it might be some kind of nutrients deficiency or something. This one, it doesn't look like it's grown at all since we planted it, almost.
Well, it's probably good that they don't all come on at once, right?
Yeah.
That way
But,
you can sell a little bit at a time.
Yeah, but this one is just funny because it's
Yeah.
so huge, and all of these are still really, really small.
It looks like the other end is growing better.
Yeah, and the ones over in that other bed are growing pretty good. I still have to weed over there too, and I haven't gotten this side yet. But yeah, they'd probably be doing a lot better if I got out here sooner, because I didn't finish the job then, but I haven't weeded since before Mother's Day. So
Yep, gotta stay on top of it.
yeah.
So what we'll do is once you get all of it cultivated and get it weeded good, and then we'll come through and we'll break that surface crust, and then we can amend it. But I think they're still early enough along that we can fertilize. We'll do that and water it in real good, and they'll probably take off.
Yeah.
Carrots are still looking really good. Pulled a few yesterday, snacked on them. It's kind of the same, still pretty small. We did pull one that was about 5 inches long and as big around as my thumb. So it was pretty good. You ate that one, didn't you, Henley? How was it?
It was good.
Can't hear you.
It was good.
All right. So carrots, hopefully going to be a success. You can see hopefully you can see the row. It's still in the shade a little bit. But and then we've got everything out back, still growing like crazy. I almost put more carrots in where we put the Hawkeye turnips, but the carrots take so long versus the turnips. And we've got these carrots. I wanted to have that bed cleaned out in the next month and a half or so, at least that part of it, in case we want to start thinking about putting in some long-term fall crops, because that'll put us mid-July. Might be a little early, but it gives us more choices than having something in that's going to take twice as long as it. Yeah, we don't have the fall garden plan ready yet. Ain't even thought about it. Getting ready for your DJ gig?
Yeah,
Working on your beets?
clean beets.
So she's got to come over here and weed these leeks also. You can see they're a lot farther along. This soil is a lot more established than that, so a lot more balanced nutrients. It's just farther along and in better shape, so kind of expected them to do better over here. They've gotten the same treatment as those as far as irrigation, amendments when planting, everything. So it just shows a little difference in the soil maturity. But it's actually, I think like I told her, I think it's better. I don't want all of these to come on at once, and she's got to try to find a way to market them and sell them all at once, because we don't have that established. So being able to do the small amounts at a time and start to develop those relationships with people, maybe they'll want to come back for more. Having this progression be better anyways. About ready to order some shade cloth for out here.
That would be nice. I think it might not be great for the plants, but it would still get there.
Oh, I think they'd survive.
Yeah, they probably survive.
Maybe we need to build like a little portable shade cloth awning that you can just move with you. Yeah, that way you don't get sunburnt.
I do get sunburnt.
I do, but it turns brown overnight, so.
Yeah.
So this area above the swale, it's a little trial we're doing. It's just a little triangle. You can see the fence standing right in line with the fence row here. So everything on this side is ours. I spoke to the neighbors before we did this. We're trying to use all of the property as best we can. This area, we just have to come up here and mow this little area, and then it's just lawn, dumping off into the swale. But I came in and planted the flint corn, which is supposed to be the sweet corn, which I'm kind of glad I didn't do that. I'd rather have this flint corn up here. It's red, Papa's blue, just mixed them together. And then we've also got all of our vining squash up here, and we planted it all in amongst each other. We're going to come in, and now that everything's up, and we're going to kind of weed eat or mow or whatever in between them and knock them down, and then all the tall stuff that's sticking up over, we'll knock the tops off of that. It looks a little out of hand right now, but it'll be okay in the long term, especially once this vining squash fills in here and knocks all the grass back. And let me show you. So you can see we got squash coming up, and then we've got other stuff that we've seeded in here as ground cover in the past, still kind of popping in. But there's the squash, and then there's the corn. Some of them come out together, and you can kind of see there's a row, because I just walked. I used that old 100-year-old walking seeder, stab it in the ground, move it, drop seed in. And if you look right there, you can kind of see a row of the corn, and then the squash is just mixed in here and there. So no beans in here yet to climb the corn. Probably do that, be kind of the Three Sisters method. We wanted to wait till the corn gets at least 6 to 8 inches tall before we decide to drop any climbing beans on them. And then they'll climb up the corn stalks. They'll put the nitrogen in the ground for the corn, and then the squash is just a ground cover. to shade everything else out, so there's not as much competition. We did come through yesterday when we planted the sweet corn and the Hockerai turnips, and we took I made up a small batch of amendment, a little heavy on the feather mill for the nitrogen, a little bit of Miramichi green as kind of a sponge to hold those nutrients, some azomite and some of the potassium sulfate, and we just side dressed all of this in here at each plant, just to give a little boost of nutrients, because again, this is untouched lawn as far as any kind of a nutrient amendment or anything. So things look a little stressed for nutrients, squash and stuff, until we did that. I think it'll be okay. You can see it's probably, I don't know what time it is right now. It's 10:30, and it's still got a little bit of shade from that big tree. So also not getting tons of sunlight in the morning, but gets a lot of afternoon sun and evening sun. So we'll see how this goes. Again, seed's cheap. It's an experiment. If it makes, we'll have some good corn to grind. We'll have lots of spaghetti, Hubbard, and I don't remember what the third squash is. Oh, it's the pink banana, the roaster, like candy roaster squash. So all those are in here. We'll if we didn't plant it, we wouldn't have any of it. If we get a little bit, we got a little bit. If we get a lot, bonus. I figured out what our next project should be.
What?
We need to build a wash station right here by the faucet.
We kind of do.
That way we don't have to set stuff on the picnic table to wash it.
Yeah.
So right here by the faucet.
Over on that side, probably.
Over there?
Well, because right here we have beds.
I was thinking right here by the faucet. Okay. Either side of it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant. Just kind of L-shaped where you're standing. Who knows?
So like right over here?
Yeah.
Well, kinda, maybe. I don't know.
We'll see.
Anyways, right here adjacent to the faucet somewhere, need to build a frame, cover top of it with hardware cloth probably.
Yeah.
Maybe something down low to keep from getting splashed real bad. If we got to stand right up close on it, I don't know. Figure something out. I don't have the materials to build it right now, but definitely what we need to do. Hey, what are you yelling at over there?
I don't know what my dog's doing.
That's not gonna work.
When I first saw her, a black cat crossed my trail. Bad news and high heels made me go off the rails. But one look at her, she's oh so fine. I know I've got to make her mine. She's just my kind, I can't get her off my mind. She's my kind of woman, I need a soul. Yeah, my kind of woman, I can't let her go. 5 feet of dynamite will keep me dancing through the night. You know a black cat got nothing on a lucky man.